Today we're doing St. Louis cut sweet and spicy sticky ribs. So we're going to apply the rub, get it in the smoker for a couple of hours, and then wrap and braise in some butter, garlic, and brown sugar. We're going to unwrap them, brush them with some jalapeno barbecue sauce, and get them back into the smoker to finish them off. My name is Rich, and this is RACZ Barbecue and Grill. Let's get cooking. Okay, just because there's not enough videos on YouTube on how to make ribs, I decided to throw mine into the mix. Doing St. Louis cut today. We just need to get some of the excess fat and little pieces, parts, and the ends removed, as well as the silver skin off of the back. So on the spare ribs, the membrane runs from here all the way across. Baby backs, they generally run all the way down the length of the rib. You don't actually have to remove this if you don't want to. There's a lot of people that don't do it. There's also people that say if you don't, it'll be a leathery texture when you bite into it, or you're gonna lose all your rub that you put on it if you leave it on. I would say at a minimum, if you're gonna leave it on, take your knife and score between the bones just to cut through it a little bit. And like I said, we're gonna take it off today. So using a butter knife, just gonna get up underneath one of these bones, all the way across the best you can. And if you're lucky, it all comes off in one piece. Work it to the end. And this stuff is really slippery, so we've got the flap going here. Grab a paper towel so you can get a good grip on it. Hold it down and pull. One piece. Sometimes it doesn't come off in one piece. That's all right. Just pick away at it and you'll be good. With the membrane off, now we just want to clean this up a little bit. Get the pieces of hard fat that have been left behind from the butcher. And, edge pieces, stuff that's going to burn and cook fast. Like this flaps on the end here. That stuff's going to cook really fast, so just square it up. Same thing on this side. You can see there's a little sliver of the bone where the blade went through. We want to cut that off, as well as this piece of fat hanging off the edge. I'm going to cut the first bone off. Again, it's thin and it'll square it up. And then I usually just give it a quick pat. Get some of this moisture off of it. And come in and hit it with some salt. And this salt will draw moisture back up to the surface. So we're going to get both sides of these covered. It comes out to about a half a teaspoon per pound is usually the rule of thumb that I go by. Obviously not measuring it out. Like I said, rule of thumb, just get a moderate coating of salt. We're just gonna let the salt sit for about 15-20 minutes. Keep an eye on it. We'll see it dissolve and the moisture start coming back up to the top of the ribs, and then we'll put our rub on. In the meantime, we'll get the grill preheated to 250 degrees and move on to the next step. I gave this about 15 minutes and the salt has dissolved. The moisture is starting to be pulled out of the meat back to the surface, so we're ready to put our rub on. And you can use any pork rub that you want for this. I am using, once again, my sweet pork rub. I'll put a link to the recipe down below. You can go to the website and make your own, but we're just gonna get a nice heavy coating. And this rub will give us our nice crust that we're gonna go after for these first couple hours in the smoker. Head it down. Okay, we'll get these into the smoker. Like I said, I have that preheated at 250 degrees. We'll check on it in about a half hour or so and give it a quick spritz a couple times during that 2-hour process. And then we'll bring them back in and get them wrapped up and ready for the braising part. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes. See some dry areas around the racks, so we're just gonna give it a quick spritz with some apple cider vinegar. Check back on them in a little bit. It's been about 2 hours now, so we're going to check on the ribs. Look at the temperature. I like to leave them in until they're about 165 degrees. We are right at about 160 right now, so we'll give it a few more minutes and then we'll get them in the house and wrap them. Okay, it's been about another 10 minutes. I checked the temperature. They're at 165 degrees, so we're going to pull these off now. The ribs smoke for about 2 hours and 10 minutes. Time varies, right? Like I said, I like to pull them out when they get to about 165. Got a nice bark going on them. Now we're gonna wrap them up in foil and braise them for another 2 to 3 hours, depending on how they look. We'll check them as we go through the cook, obviously. So to start with the braising liquid, this is what we're gonna do. Put some honey down. And I've got a whole stick of butter here, quartered up long ways. So 2 pieces for each rack. Some brown sugar. And I have a whole bulb of garlic that I had sliced up. So we're going to use half of this per rack. Take our first rack, meat side down, and we're going to wrap it up nice and tight. You want to be careful when you do this. Don't press the foil really hard up against the bones because it can puncture through it, and then the liquid will start leaking out. And just for that reason, I like to double rack the ribs. Okay, ribs are wrapped, back in the smoker, still at 250 degrees. Check them in a couple hours for tenderness, and then we'll move into the saucing phase next. In 2 hours that we've wrapped these things and they've been in the smoker, I want to just take a look at them, see how we're doing with them. Just want to be careful when we unwrap these because there is going to be juice in here, obviously. You don't want to spill it all over the place. Alright, we're seeing some bone separation. So what I also like to do too, check it for probe tender. If it goes in with hardly any resistance, we're good. But if you look at the temperature, I like to get it around 210, 212. And that's where we're at. These are ready to be pulled and sauced. We'll get them into the house, let them cool down for a few minutes and get some sauce. I have the ribs out of the foil now, and these things just look gorgeous, man. They smell incredible. You can smell the garlic, the honey. You can see pieces of the garlic laying on the top. We're just going to put a little bit of barbecue sauce on the top of them. I don't like going too heavy, just a nice light coating. Of course, as always, I'm using my candied jalapeno barbecue sauce. It really is my favorite. I need to come up with some recipes for some new flavors too. Mix it up once in a while. That day will come eventually, I'm sure. But anyway, so we just want to get a nice light coating on this. So put more if you want more, less if you want less, none at all. Sometimes I make these and I don't even sauce them. I don't even wrap them. Just depends on my mood. This was the quickest way that I found to make spare ribs. St. Louis cut spare ribs. We've been running for coming up on 4.5 hours now, and these things are they're ready to eat. We're just going to put them back in for another 15 minutes or so, let the sauce sit up, and then we'll be ready. It's been 15 minutes. The sauce is set up just the way I like it. Now we're going to get these off the smoker. This is our end result. Those things are beautiful. I wish you guys can smell these, man. See the bones pulling away. All right, it's time for the big reveal. Let's cut into these. Nice and juicy, look at that. I'm telling you, ribs are one of my favorite. All right, it's time to bite into this. Delicious. All right, so that's another video. Once again, thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody's time. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing, like the video, and we'll see you next time.